Good afternoon, this is Surfline meteorologist Mike Watson with your special Hurricane Bill video forecast. We're effective on, today is Wednesday, August the 19th, and all eyes have been on Bill. We've been tracking this system over the past couple of days. A rather impressive system. We'll go ahead and look at our visible satellite loop. We can see a rather large storm out there in the Atlantic Ocean approaching our side of the basin, and a very impressive Category 4 storm out there. Very strong winds up to 115 knots as of the 11 a.m. advisory. The new advisory just getting ready to come out here pretty soon, and likely still going to be a major hurricane out there. We'll go ahead and look at our quick scat image of Bill, and I got this image earlier today, and looking pretty nice. As the storm was northeast to east-northeast of Barbados, we can see a rather large system. I have Barbados pointed out on the left-hand side of the screen. Well, you can see Bill is one pretty big beast. Matter of fact, sent Barbados a nice swell today. They enjoyed a solid swell from this system with light offshore breezes there, so not a bad day to be wet there. But Bill's going to make its way across the basin. A lot of people have a lot of questions about what's going to happen, and we'll go ahead and look at Puerto Rico. Going to see that swell move in pretty rapidly on Thursday, but going to peak. Going to be a pretty much one-and-done event as the system pulls away. The swell will be dropping there on Friday pretty rapidly, so going to be in there really quick. Now, as the system moves towards the East Coast, something we don't deal with a whole lot here is long period swell. Now, what that means, we measure our swell by period. We get this question a lot. Well, what does that mean? And what we're looking at is we take a fixed point and we watch a wave crest as it approaches that fixed point. Now, as that wave crest gets there to that fixed point, we begin counting. We count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we see the next wave crest come up to that point. That's our period of swell. So basically, we're counting the period between two successive crests as they pass a fixed point. Well, in this instance, we're expecting swell periods, long swell periods around 16 seconds, likely going to see some in the 17 to 18 second range. I wouldn't be surprised to see even a few ticks higher than that at times. Now, with this image, I can kind of illustrate what that means, and basically, the longer the swell period, the more energy you have with that, and then the further that energy extends downward into the ocean. We can see on this chart, 17-second period swell extends down 725 feet in the ocean. Now, we'll compare that to a 10-second period swell, where the energy only is felt down 250 feet. Now, what this means is we have a lot of refractive processes in place with this type of swell. We just don't see this a lot here on our side of the basin. So again, and what this means is going to impact our beaches as the swell approaches. Now we'll look at Florida, look at our little animations here, and we have the solid swell moving in on. Going to see some of the very beginning forerunners on Friday, but the swell's really in the water on Saturday, peaking in the afternoon hours for the region. Now that long period swell, as it meets our fairly uniform sandbars, we tend to see a lot of closed out surf with this type of wave. There's just no coastal features along our coast really that can, that really can bend this swell around. The only exception is we do have some reefs down in South Florida, but unfortunately the Bahamas are blocked the brunt of this swell. Really mostly just sandbars going to see a lot of this swell, and there are some spots out there, but going to do a lot of searching and trying to find some corners of these waves so that we can get some surf. Now, for the South Florida surfers, did do a little research here for you, and wanted to bring this up for you. A lot of people talk about there's a little, sometimes a little swell will make it through the Bahamas into the South Florida region, and we saw this in 2003 with Hurricane Isabel. But looking at our hurricane track map, I plotted Isabel's plot, and then I plotted the track for Bill that it's expected to take as it moves through the ocean. Now we can see that Isabel was generally tracking on a west-northwest track at around 22-23 north, and that did send a sizable swell to select South Florida beaches. Not going to indicate what those are, but those do some local knowledge and studying, and there was some swell from Isabel there. However, Bill not taking that track, generally going to be taking a more northerly track, northwest then northerly track. So maybe we'll see a pulse sneak through there, for a little bit of time, but really Bill's not going to be in your window. Now, another thing to note is notice the space in between Bill's track as it begins to move north. Now, as the system really begins to get into more of that South Florida window down towards Palm Beach, well, the system's racing off at that point. And unfortunately, that doesn't allow the winds to sit over the ocean long enough to really generate any significant swell back into the Palm Beach and far South Florida window. So basically going to be, much of the event is going to be north of the Bahamas shadow in Florida. Again, we're going to see the forerunners move in late Friday, Saturday, swell peaking in the afternoon hours, going to be really solid. And then Sunday, we'll see the swell periods come down around that 12-second range. Likely still going to have a few longer periods mixed in there as well, overlapping periods of swells. But the swell will be noticeably fading, especially by later Sunday for the region. Now, stepping up, we'll look at our little animation as we move further up into the southeast region. A lot of swell on the way. Again, you're going to have to use your local knowledge. A lot of the spots up here, too. A lot of sandbars. Maybe there are some places, though, that will break it up as well. Some little secret honey holes to go to. So, again, apply that local knowledge. Long period swell, again, on those generally uniform sand beaches, beach breaks, they tend to close out. Also, a lot of refractive processes that occur in this little bight in the southern North Carolina area as well. Outer Banks going to be really large on Saturday, pretty much out of control. Really don't see a lot of guys doing much out there, except maybe some guys that go out with with some ski assist out there, but pretty much going to be breaking way the heck out there and large and in charge as well. Now, as we move up into the northeast region, we're expecting your swell, again, is going to be pushed. You're going to have some lag time, take some time for that swell to get up there versus what it does down towards Florida. So we're expecting the peak of your swell around early Sunday region. Again, long period swell moving in. We can see on our little animation going to affect the coast. We're expecting really solid surf for the region. And again, peaking early Sunday. Don't want to tell you where to go. You got to use your local knowledge. There's a lot of guys who wait for swells like this, and out of respect for the locals, got to use your local knowledge. But please respect them up in the northeast region as well, as they wait a long time for a good swell like this to come. So a lot of surf on tap for the East Coast. If you're unsure, not in doubt, just stay on the beach until it comes down more to a size that you think you can manage. Also, a good time to push limits as well. If you really have been in the water quite a bit, had some experience with larger surf, well, maybe it's time to push your limits and get out there. That's what surfing is about, pushing your limits, but also knowing what your limits are as well. So a lot of swell on the way. Unfortunately, again, as a storm begins to race off, that is going to limit the duration of the swell. We're going to have a pretty quick peak to it, and going to be a solid one, but also going to see it ebb just as pretty much as quickly as it comes. So we'll get a couple days out of it of surf, and we're not complaining. It's better than what a lot of us have seen so far this summer, so we'll take it. Anyway, we hope you enjoyed this special Hurricane Bill video forecast. Glad this is a system that's going to stay offshore and really not cause any damage to the East Coast other than beach erosion. And again, everyone stay safe, enjoy the surf, and we'll see you next time.